They Knit. I think it's episode 25th. I am not sure. I'm gonna have to check on that. Also, stay to the end if you wanna hear in Portuguese, but I am about to do a brief description of my new place, so I'll do a little description of that in Portuguese as well. Okay, so this is my new dating space. It is in the attic. It came with cubbies and I thought it was perfect, right? The TV came with the house and we just moved it and we put it up here just for now. We'll see what we'll do with it. I was gonna sit there. That was going to be where I put my camera. Some of my crafty stuff like needles and things that are not yarn. And this is the yarn that I got while I was in Portugal. I'm gonna do a brief zoom in on that, but here is why I'm not about to film here. I was sitting up and right by that window there were like 20 spiders. So we sprayed and now it feels very toxic up here, so I'm not going to be filming here today, but I just wanted to show you what things are looking at like. Gonna have some artwork and we'll see. I'm also going to be setting up a desk at some point over here where I can work and do other crafty stuff like tutorials and things, and maybe some painting. We'll see. Okay, and now em português. Olá, bem-vindos ao episódio número, não sei, 25 talvez. Este é o meu novo espaço, é o sótão. Vinha com uns cubículozinhos, então eu decidi pôr os meus novelos deste lado, as minhas agulhas e outras coisas daquele lado. A televisão veio com a casa, eu ia me sentar ali, pôr a câmera ali e filmar. E estes são os novelos que eu adquiri quando fui a Portugal, mais alguns projetos que estou a fazer agora. Mas não vou filmar aqui hoje, porque eu estava a preparar tudo e cheguei-me à janela e vi que tinha tipo 20 aranhas. Então, o Joseph foi buscar o spray enquanto eu ficava de olho nelas. E depois pôs spray no sótão todo, junto às coisas estas portinhas e nos cantos e nos cubículos. E então o ambiente aqui em cima está um bocadinho tóxico, portanto eu só vim fazer um vídeo de apresentação, a mostrar-vos onde é que vou estar a filmar a partir de agora. E agora vou lá para baixo e falar-vos sobre os novos projetos, ok? Até já! Well, hello again. And I guess I'm going to do some overall going through some FOs that I was able to knit these last 2 months, which have been hectic because I spent a month traveling in Portugal, visiting my family, friends, and then I came back. I started first we moved, then I started a new job, and the house is we still have lots of things to unpack and everything, but we're getting there. And so I've had some time to finish projects, and I'll talk to you about the ones that I have with me right now. I don't have all of them. So, to start with, first, the patterns Out of Sorts socks, A Little Out of Sorts, and Dreamy Vanilla socks are all out. The Out of Sorts socks are socks that go up to your knee, and they are designed to fit the knitter's legs specifically, or if they know another person's measurements, and that would work too. And they're color work. A Little Out of Sorts, they're the same type of color work, but they're shorties, and those are both toe up, And then the Dreamy Vanilla socks, they're vanilla socks, plain, and they are toe up. That pattern is like $2 on Ravelry, and there's a video on YouTube on my account that explains more or less from beginning to end the whole pattern. So if you've never done toe up socks that have a heel flap, which are these, super simple, you can give it a go. You can see how I go through the toes, foot, how I work on the gusset and the heel turn and the heel flap, and how I finish them, in case you want to try to make toe up socks. I feel like most people just do cuff down, but I don't understand. I think it would make more sense if it was more popular to do toe up. So I did the video and a written pattern so that people can follow along and learn as they go. And if you see the video, at some point I drop some stitches, then I have to go and pick them up. And anyway, it's just me going through a pattern. And that sock, I knitted that in one day. The whole video was shot in one day, I believe. I think it was one day. I'm pretty sure. The other sock, I think I did most of it in one day when I went to a festival in Porto, a music festival that lasts like all afternoon. Well, not that all afternoon, but from like 5 until 4 or something a.m. So during the time that I was there, I was mostly knitting while I listened to the concerts, like sitting on the grass and stuff. And I was able to knit most of it, and then I just finished, I think, the following day, because I don't remember binding off at the concert. So I don't know, just want to let you know, these are super fast, super easy. There's a video and written descriptions if you want to try it out. And basically that's my first FO that I'm talking about. It's my Dreamy Vanilla socks. Have the pair right here, and I like them. The yarn that I used is I have no idea how you say this in English. I believe it is German, and the way I'd say it in Portuguese is Regia, and it's cotton Tutti Frutti, and this is the color orange, and they're stripy, and they're, I think, like 60 or 70% cotton, and the rest is nylon and such. And I like them. I like them. I can wear them in the summer, no problem. It's really hot outside now, so these are appropriate. Let's see, and then I think I had barely started this project when I first left to go to Portugal in end of May. But it's the his vest, completely finished with lots of alterations. The pattern is by Churchmouse Yarns and Teas. The yarn is the City Tweed DK by Knit Picks. And the color is Toad, which I love. But the pattern, the first time I made it, if you don't know the story, the first time I made this pattern, it was for my father. It was for Christmas. I made the smallest size available, and it was huge. And then I thought, while I was still visiting my parents, I'm going to use your dryer just for like 5-10 minutes and see if I can like shrink it a little bit, because it was both wide and long, but like lengthwise it was huge. So my thought process was, I am going to just shrink it a little bit, because I had done it at home and it took 1 hour to shrink 1 inch. So I thought, you know, I'll take it slowly. At the end of like 10 minutes in the dryer, I pull it out. It has become this size. unrecognizable. You don't see any stitches. The whole thing shrunk and got felted and lost all elasticity. My sweet father put it on and he wore it, but only under jackets, because it was just, it was so bad. It was so bad. So I'm like, you can't wear that. That's ridiculous. I'm just gonna make a new one. So the pattern, the original pattern is front, then flat, in the back, then flat. And at the front and the back, you get to a certain point where you split. At the front, you split down here for the V-neck. At the back, I think you just split up here just for the shoulders. And then you sew it, and then you do the ribbing around the armholes and on the neck. And you do it bottom up. So, what I did was, because half of the pattern is armhole, the other half is body, I decided that I'd start right before the ribbing. And that I would do 1 inch of ribbing now, 1 inch in circular needles. And then I'd separate for the front, do the front, separate for the back, to the back. Because it's half and half, I mean, half of the length is body, half of the length is armhole, and both of those were too big. I changed the pattern, so I would decrease more or less 10 rows, which is more or less 2 inches, at the front and at the back. At the back it was easier, because there's more repetition. At the front, it meant changing the V-neck as well, which I did. So I think the V-neck is also starting just a little bit higher, which means that I have a different amount of stitches at the front and at the back. And so you can see here, there's less stitches at the back, more stitches at the front, and it bunched up a little bit, but it's not super noticeable. It's okay. So I finished that. He puts it on, and okay, length is fine, but it's kind of big on the side. It has this much extra on each side. And let me show you this. This is where I cast on. Kept knitting. I finished the top. I did, after my dad put it on, I did the ribbing. And I put a little pin here, right? So I would know I only need to do the ribbing starting here, not here. So I had this bound off, had it bound off at the bottom, because the bottom was on circular needles, so I could just pick up and knit in this direction. Easy, right? So I now have this little thing. And basically this could be hanged right like that. But I just left it like this to show you guys, because what I am going to do is I'm going to tuck it in, and I'm just going to do a little bit of stitching right here, and it's going to be just fine. But I thought I'd show you how I came about altering this pattern, because I didn't want to start from the bottom to the top, and if it ended up being too wide, having to get rid of that whole stretch, I made it shorter at the top by 2 inches. And at the bottom, so my dad put this on after I blocked it, and it looked like he only needed 12 inches of length, which I think is more or less what I have. I think I might have gone a little bit short, because this has a certain percentage of alpaca. I wanted to see if it would grow, because the other one that I did for him, he wore it for a week before I ruined it, and it just kept getting longer and longer and longer every day. So this one has been hanging, and it hasn't grown much. So what I'm thinking is if in the end it doesn't grow enough, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rip off the ribbing, knit like 1 or 2 more inches normal and then do the ribbing again. And since I did not cast on there, it will be easier. And because this pattern ended up being much smaller, I have 5 skeins of 50 grams left over. Which means that, I don't know how, but I guess for the other one, I used it until the very last bit. I was doing a very tight bind off because I didn't have enough yarn to do a loose bind off. And I didn't just want to order 1 skein to do like 2 rows, right? So that's how that one's going. That's how I changed it, and how I might have to change it, we'll see. Okay? And then, let's see, what else did I have? I did the Akemi, which is a sweater pattern by Keiko, Kikuno. And this is the yarn that I used. It's Queensland, which is Australian. It's the Queensland collection coastal cotton. It is, I think, a worsted. If it is not worsted, it's very close to worsted. And it is very soft, and I love the color. I wore it a lot when I was in Portugal, and right now it is drying. So I don't have it with me, so I'm not going to go very into it. But basically it's done in, it has portions that have different textures going on, so it's lots of fun, and it feels very fast because it has such quick little portions. So you feel that I'm almost done with this portion, I'm just going to do it to the end, and then you did like 2 inches, and then some more, then you did 3 inches, you know. Very fast, very easy. The cotton is very nice, very soft, heavy because it is cotton. It was fast, it was fun. You do need to pay a little bit of attention just because there's different things going on. You can memorize them after a while, but you really have to look down and see what you're doing and not just do it without looking at it. And I think that's it for that one. I liked it a lot. However, I feel like I could have done a smaller size just because the neck grew some. The neckline, I mean, not neckline. So, I don't know. But this is one of the yarns that I'm going to add to my blanket that has finally come out, because now I have new yarns that I get to join. So that's one of them. The other one is the one that I used for, well, the Open Edge Tee, if I can find that one. But the other one is the one that I used for my love note, which I also used a lot in Portugal, but I don't have any pictures of it. Other than that, before I left, I finished my Open Edge Tee. I don't know why, but the V is kind of going to the side. I don't know. Maybe it's how it dried. This one's also very easy, very fast. I was able to finish it, I think, at the airport or on the airplane. I don't know. I know that I switched between this and the vest while I was in Portugal. And this one I finished before the vest. The vest I finished on the way back. And I was actually able to wear it at the airport in Philadelphia because it was so cold. But the Open Edge Tee is a Jessie made pattern. And I made it with the Berroco yarn that's called Modern Cotton Decay. I like it because it has a very nice drape. But it is very splitty. It is also very shiny. I don't know. It feels like it's cotton and bamboo. I don't know. It's cotton with something. I can't remember what it is. I think it's a very fast knit. I highly recommend it. I do wish I had done a smaller size because my shoulders and here, the neckline is very wide. And I think I was just a tiny bit off on my needle size, but I used the smallest one that I had from my circular needle set, which was my number 3, and I should probably have used the number 2. So maybe that's why the neckline is so big, but I don't know. There's like, there's like, I don't know, a foot. I don't know if it would have made a huge difference using a number 2. But either way, it has a little bit of detail. It has like these drop stitches going on here. It has some eyelets here. And as I was doing it, I kept thinking, oh, this is going to be fine because it has ribbing up here, right? And that will just make it stay on the shoulders a little bit more. But it doesn't have ribbing. I don't know, I was misremembering. And then it also has drop stitches at the bottom, if they want to show. There. I really liked it. I've worn it several times. I just wish I had done a smaller size. So we'll see. Maybe I'll knit it again and I'll knit it in a smaller size. And that's another yarn that if I find a leftover yarn, which I don't know where it is, I will add it to my blankets. We'll see. And I think that's it in terms of finished objects. So then I had a whip. If you remember, I was knitting, and I am knitting, the Wild Swan shawl, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. And I started with the number 6 needle, and then I realized, looking at the picture, I was probably almost halfway through the pattern, and I had only used 1 of 4 skeins of yarn. So then I switched to number 9s because I figure I have 3 skeins, I can do this. And I think it's going really well. It's very hard to show on camera, but it's supposed to have, some people think of it as lotus flowers, but it's supposed to be, what are they called? Feathers from a swan. So the beginning is like that, and then the top has just all these like feathers going down. And it has a lot of beads. You might not be able to tell. Just a lot of them. And each row, I don't know how many stitches each row has, lots of them. I think this is lace weight. I'm using, the yarn is Norwegian yarn that now I forget what it is called. Sandnes Garn Tynn Line, something like that, which means thin line. So that makes me think it's lace. And I'm almost halfway through. I did check. The pattern says that once you get to a certain row, you're halfway through, and I'm 8 rows away from that. And so it has an I-cord at the edge, followed by some yarn overs. And then the pattern starts, and there's a right size, a center size, and the left size of the side of the pattern. So it's like symmetrical, and then there's something happening in the center. And I'm really liking it. However, each row takes me like an hour. The purl rows are faster, but the other rows, they include lots of beading, that takes a long time, some cables, that takes a little bit of time, and it's done with a silk yarn, silk based, so that also adds a little bit of time than if it had been like wool or something. But I am really liking it. I am going to finish it, and that is what I will work on for most of the time until I'm done with it, or until September. Because in September I'm going to cast on colorwork t-shirt. While I was in Portugal, I tried to work on this pattern, but every time I picked it up, I made huge mistakes. It happened twice. When I say every time, I meant both times that I picked it up, it did not work well. So then I decided I cannot knit this while I'm in Portugal. I'm either too relaxed or I have too many interruptions. So all of this progress has been only since, like, for the last 2 weeks. At the end of the day, I just try to get like 1 or 2 rows done. That's it. Because it's very demanding. And while I was in Portugal then, after I finished the open edge tee, and before I finished the vest and cast on the socks, I started working on a, some of you might be aware that a little while back I got lots of skeins of yarn to make a cardigan, a colorwork cardigan. And I've been figuring out how I was going to make this, so instead of just keeping on thinking and writing stuff down, I decided, even though I made a couple of mistakes, I've decided to just start a little version of it, just for practice, to see if what I am imagining works out. And here it is. This is the back of the cardigan, if it was made for a doll or a newborn. And this is the front. It has been blocked. It is to be steeked right down here, and it is also going to be steeked at the end of the armholes right there. And I've started writing it down how I'm doing it, so I can just do a written pattern for people to test knit. I'd like to be as body inclusive as I can, but without using a spreadsheet, because I don't want to divide my pattern to get the most accurate measurements, because I just don't think it would be nice. It would be like if you're doing a sweater that has lots of lace, like a pattern that repeats, and you get to the end and you cut the pattern in half. It just doesn't make much sense. So it's going to be a lot of work, but I'm going to try and write it down for different bust sizes and just, you know, try to make it as knitter friendly as possible. And we'll see. It's the first thing that I'm designing that it's not socks. Right now I have 6 patterns out of socks, and that's crazy. So we'll see how this goes. It's gonna take a little while. Maybe it will be ready by 2023. We'll see. We'll see. And that's it for that one. It's going to be called Maresia Cardi. Maresia means sea breeze, and that's what inspired me, was the choppy seas, like in the winter. And basically just have a little robe / cardigan that you could just wear and be warm and comfortable. And I have blocked it, I just haven't measured it yet. I have started writing the pattern, leaving openings for where I need to write the actual number of stitches, because that includes math, and I have not done that because I have not been able to measure my jacket yet. I need to find a measuring tape somewhere. There's like 2 or 3 in this house, but I cannot find them. So I went to the hairdresser yesterday. You might not be able to notice. I don't know. And I got there too early. And thank God I brought a skein of yarn and needles, because I got there 2 hours early by accident. I misremembered the time. And so I have cast on, using Mondim, a new sock. And this sock is going to be colorwork, and it's going to be inspired by the Portuguese Sidewalks. And I've just started, and it's not my priority right now. My priority is finishing the shawl. After that, it will be the sock and their colorwork sweater. And we'll see how it goes. I think it's gonna be fine, easy. And it will probably be out by the end of fall, I'd like to say. We'll see. I don't want to promise anything because I keep failing on delivering on my promises in time. And I think that's it for all of this. While I was traveling, I went to a festival where I got some yarn, where I learned to do intarsia. And the festival is in Porto every early June, first week of June, I think. And it is called Knitting with Friends. And I had fun. It was cool just seeing everyone that, not everyone, but you know, lots of people that are on YouTube, either like writing comments on my videos, or maybe I'm watching their videos, and just seeing everyone in person. That was really fun. I like learning intarsia. Just interesting. We did it with mohair and thicker rowan yarns, and well, now I know how to do it. I'm not sure if I want to do it because it's a huge mess. So we'll see. I don't know. And then I went to 2 stores. I went to the store in Porto called Regia Rosa Pomar, and then I went to a store in, wait, did I say Porto? That one is in Lisboa. And I went in Porto to another store called Ovelha Negra. I really like both of them. They're different in their own way, you know. And obviously I bought yarn at both of them. Ovelha Negra, I went and I bought this yarn, as well as 2 skeins from a German brand that I right now cannot remember, but it has a black cat on the label. They're extremely colorful. And then when I went to Lisboa, I got enough for a huge cardigan that has some color work. I got another skein for socks. I got 2 more skeins of that same brand of the really colorful yarn. I think that's it. I wanted to take more stuff with me, but having to take into consideration both price and the amount of space it takes on my bag, I didn't do it. And in the end, I had to vacuum pack every single thing that I was carrying so that it would all fit. It was crazy. But here we are. And wow, I can't believe this only took me half an hour. Well, I'm happy to be back. I hope that I won't have to go back to having classes. And I am definitely wanting to start filming more frequently, knitting more frequently. You may think, Sandra, you got so much stuff done. But I feel like I barely knit anything. I don't know, I feel like usually I'm used to just having my yarn with me, just knitting all the time. But now that I'm focusing on the shawl, I'm not taking yarn anywhere with me. Because I can't do this on the go. I have to get home, sit on the sofa and just go through a row. And the other stuff I was able to do while I was on vacation. So the moving is fine. I've started my new job. Everyone is really nice there. I miss my friends from Knoxville, but you know, That's life. And I wish I had spent more time in Portugal. Because, well, I didn't get to see everyone I wanted to see. And I only had sardines once, and that is never enough. Sardines this is their season, June, July. And they're fresh, like they're not frozen, they're really fresh, and they're grilled out on the streets. The restaurants set up little grills outside, and I miss that. I love the smell of them, I love the flavor. And that's how I feel about sardines. Yeah, and we'll see. Slowly we'll be setting up our house, and with that, the knitting room upstairs. Yeah. And hopefully I'll be able to show you some more knitting stuff around here in Nashville in the future. But as of right now, this is it. I hope you liked it. And I don't know, we'll have more soon, right? Right. Hopefully I'll see you in August. Alright. And now em português. Olá pessoal, tudo bem? Se não conseguiram perceber tudo o que eu disse, eu vou tentar fazer um sumário. Portanto, começando pelos meus projetos acabados. Primeiro, em inglês tenho 3 padrões novos, ou modelos, não sei como é que se diz em português, se é padrões ou se é modelos, no Ravelry. 2 deles são com color work, portanto trabalho com cores, e são uma é um par de meias que é shorty, portanto é até ao calcanhar, e a outra é de toe up, portanto dos dedos do pé até ao calcanhar. A outra também é toe up, dedos do pé ao calcanhar, mas quer dizer, neste caso até ao joelho, porque é mesmo até ao joelho, e é feita usando Excel, em que vocês só precisam de pôr as vossas medidas e aquilo dá-vos o padrão para a meia. Portanto fica mesmo do tamanho certo para cada pessoa. E são as duas com o mesmo tipo de padrão. E acho que agora não tenho nenhuma aqui comigo porque são coisas mais de inverno. Mas entretanto, quando estava em Portugal, estive no Porto e eu e a Jessie fomos a um festival com umas amigas minhas e eu decidi comprar um novelo para poder fazer meias. Uma coisa fácil, pronto. Então, criei este padrão, que é toe up também, dos dedos ao calcanhar, e chama-se Dreamy Vanilla. E isso, pronto, já é vanilla porque é o mais simples que há, não é? E usei a Regia, Cotton, Tutti, Frutti, e a cor é laranja orange. E portanto tenho este padrão disponível por escrito, mas também tenho um vídeo no YouTube que explica a maioria das coisas, dá os passos principais para uma pessoa fazer os dedos do pé e passar pelo calcanhar. E é um padrão super fácil. Cada uma destas meias eu fiz num dia, quando estava de férias. Uma fiz no dia que fiz o vídeo e a outra foi no dia em que fui a vários concertos e estava lá sentada na relva a fazer a minha cena. Pronto, depois outros projetos. Acabei a Akemi, que é a minha camisola amarela que falei da última vez, mas não a tenho aqui porque ela está a secar e como é 100% algodão demora imenso tempo a secar. Portanto, está na varanda. E não vou falar muito dela, vou só dizer que este é o novelo que usei. É Queensland Cotton, não, Queensland Collection Coastal Cotton, qualquer coisa. Bem, eu vou escrever isto nas notas. Mas isto é super suave. É um algodão muito bom de usar, pesado, mas pronto, já é a vida, é algodão. Gosto muito da cor, gostei muito do novelo, achei muito suave, pronto. Usaria outra vez. Esta aqui foi a minha outra peça amarela que eu fiz e acabei, acho que acabei no voo ou acabei nos primeiros dias em que estive em Portugal. E infelizmente está um bocadinho grande, devia ter feito o tamanho mais pequeno, até porque eu usei a agulha número 3 americana, mas devia ter mesmo usado a número 2. Mas como as minhas agulhas circulares que são daquelas que se desenrosca, não sei como é que isso se diz em português, como é que se chama esse conjunto, mas as minhas acabam no número 3 e foi por isso que eu decidi usar essa agulha em vez de usar a agulha número 2. Mas pronto, isto é a Open Edge Tee, que é pela Jessie Maed Designs. É um padrão super fácil, que é uma t-shirt, é feita de baixo para cima. E a parte de baixo é circular e depois separa a parte da frente, a parte de trás e depois uma pessoa junta tudo e faz as manguinhas. As mangas, como podem ver, são pequeninas e tem este detalhezinho. A gola tem este detalhe aqui, que é feito com yarn overs, e a parte de baixo tem o mesmo detalhe das mangas. Gostei muito. É um básico muito bom para ter. Muito verão. E apesar de eu ter lavado, ainda cheira um bocadinho a sal, porque eu levei-a para a praia várias vezes. E não percebo porquê. Não sei se foi com o motivo como ela teve a secar, mas parece que está o bico um bocadinho para o lado. Não sei. Estranho. Depois, a parte de cima, junta-se com 3 agulhas e, portanto, fica-se com este detalhe aqui em cima. Gostei muito desta camisola. Fazia outra vez e já recomendei a amigas minhas que estão a começar a fazer tricô. E que querem uma coisa que não seja super básica, mas engraçada para experimentar, não é? Minha voz está a começar a me incomodar. Este é um copo também americano. O Joseph foi à casa dos meus pais e vai sempre, pronto, sempre que bebe água ou uma coisa, é de um copo assim mais ou menos deste tamanho. Ele disse que parece um copo para crianças, porque ele está habituado a estes. Ok. Portanto, se viram o episódio anterior, sabem que eu comecei a fazer um colete para o meu pai, para substituir aquele que eu fiz, que estava muito grande e que depois encolhi na máquina de secar, para o meu pai. E este é o resultado final, que é capaz de estar um bocadinho curto, mas isto é uma coisa que eu posso mudar facilmente. Portanto, o padrão original chama-se His Vest e é feito, foi feito pela Churchmouse Yarns and Teas. E é uma lã que não está disponível em Portugal, só no Canadá e nos Estados Unidos, que se chama Knit Picks. E é City, Tweed, DK e a color e a cor. E a cor é Toad, que é rã. E é um tweed. E portanto, o padrão original é feito em 2 partes, a parte da frente e a parte de trás, que depois juntas, coce de lado, coce em cima e depois faz o canelado em V e o canelado aqui junto aos braços. Mas quando eu fiz para o meu pai, que fiz o tamanho mais pequeno disponível no padrão, ficou-lhe gigantesco. Tive de fazer imensas alterações. Portanto, comecei pela metodologia. Em vez de fazer 2 partes planas de baixo para cima, comecei a fazer circular de baixo dos braços. Portanto, fiz o cast on provisional na agulha, em vez de usar um novelo diferente. e fazer com crochê, fiz logo direto na agulha. E portanto tive sempre aqui uma agulha em baixo, enquanto fazia a parte de cima. Fiz 1 polegada, que é mais ou menos 2,5 cm, e depois fiz a parte da frente e a parte de trás, separadas, óbvio, por causa do buraco aos braços. Agora, quando eu estive a fazer isso, o padrão original tem metade da altura é para os braços, metade da altura é para o resto do corpo. Portanto, o meu pai tinha buracos para os braços e eu até aqui abaixo, era enorme. Portanto, o que é que eu fiz? Diminuí o tamanho, o equivalente a 10 filas, 5 centímetros, mais ou menos. O que me fez começar este V um bocadinho mais acima. Portanto, como não comecei mais abaixo, o V não é tão grande como seria, portanto acabo com mais pontos aqui à frente do que atrás. E eu mostro-vos. Ok, portanto, temos aqui alguns pontos, temos muitos mais pontos aqui. E pronto, é a vida. Não se nota muito, mas lá está. Uma daquelas coisas. E pronto, fiz isso à frente e atrás, diminuí à frente e atrás. Depois, o meu pai experimentou e eu vi que poderia acabar aqui, mas em baixo, junto aos braços, estava muito largo. Isto era o que eu tinha feito. Agora vou aproximar por aqui a minha mão. E isto foi o que eu tinha. Portanto, eu comecei aqui e fiz de forma circular para cima em direção aos braços. E isto foi o que eu tive a mais dos dois lados. E eu deixei assim, só para vos poder mostrar no vídeo, de forma a ser mais fácil explicar, mas agora o que eu preciso fazer é só pôr isto aqui para dentro. Sim. Fechar e cozer. Só estes 2, 3 centímetros. Fácil. Depois, mais fácil ainda, foi virar este verniz para o ar, tirar a agulha que tinha aqui e fazer de forma circular até ao fim. Depois, o que o meu pai precisava debaixo dos braços eram 12 polegadas, que é acima de 30 centímetros, é para aí 32, 33. E eu acho que é mais ou menos isso que eu tenho. Se não for, se estiver pequeno demais, eu posso sempre, como fiz o bind off aqui em baixo, posso sempre tirar este canelado, fazer um bocadinho mais e fazer um bocadinho mais canelado. E pronto. Cá está. E sobraram 5 bolas de 50 gramas. Portanto, tenho suficiente para fazer-me a mim um a combinar. Assim vamos deixar as compras a combinar. Ao supermercado. E foi isso tudo o que eu acabei. Entretanto, eu tinha começado um chale. Um chale que é muito rendado e leva miçangas. E não consegui trabalhar nisto quando estava em Portugal. Estava sempre ou demasiado relaxada e perdia o fio à meada, ou havia demasiadas coisas a acontecer, muitas pessoas, sempre a ir de um lado para o outro e não tive tempo para trabalhar nele. Portanto, as 2 filas que eu tentei fazer em Portugal estavam erradas. Portanto, desisti em Portugal e isto foi o que fiz desde que voltei, que foi há 2 semanas voltei de férias. Chama-se Wild Swan, que é cisne selvagem. Esqueço-me do nome das designers, mas é grátis e está no Ravelry. Estou agora quase a meio. comecei com a agulha número 6 americana, que agora não lembro, eu não sei os nomes em milímetros, não sei, porque aqui as pessoas não usam milímetros. Mas passei para a número 9, portanto aumentei 3 tamanhos. Porquê? Porque vou a meio, eu comprei para este style, acho que foram 4 novelos. Ainda me sobram 3 novelos, portanto o style vai acabar por ser um bocadinho mais pequeno do que eu pensava. Mas pude aumentar... eu não fiz swatches para isto. Senão se calhar tinha feito com o tamanho certa agulha desde o início, mas pronto. Portanto, agora esqueci-me o que é que estava a dizer. Mas estou a gostar muito. O único problema é que cada fila demora perto de 1 hora. Por isso, só consigo fazer ao final do dia, quando chego a casa e sento-me no sofá e consigo ter lá 1 hora a descansar, a fazer. E pronto, é assim, agora não levo projetos para lado nenhum, estou só a trabalhar neste praticamente. Mas vai andando devagarinho, vamos chegar lá. Espero que tenha acabado no final de agosto, porque em setembro, no último dia de agosto mesmo, vou começar a fazer outra camisola, que é só com novelos da retrosaria Rosa Pomar. Foi uma das lojas que eu fui quando estive em Portugal. A outra foi no Porto, chama-se Ovelha Negra. Gostei muito das duas. Mas pronto, cá estamos. Mas pronto, estou a gostar muito deste. Não tenciono fazer um rendado assim tão cedo, só porque ocupa tanto espaço mental e tanto tempo para fazer, não tenho tempo para mais nada, não é? Pronto. Mas ontem, fui ao cabeleireiro cortar o cabelo. E por sorte pensei, bem, vou levar o novelo, isto é Mondim, e as minhas agulhas para meias, e vou começar umas meias que são inspiradas na calçada portuguesa, mas porque o Ravelry é preciso ter muita precisão quando uma pessoa escreve o título do padrão, quando está a fazer uma pesquisa. Não vou chamar calçada portuguesa porque tem o C cedilhado, que nem toda a gente tem facilidade em pôr. E se uma pessoa vai à procura de calcada portuguesa, duvido que vai encontrar padrão. Portanto, vou chamar em inglês Portuguese Sidewalks. E pronto, consegui fazer o canelado ontem. E por agora é a única coisa que eu tenho, além do style. Mas como é um padrão que eu estou a criar, quer dizer, tenho as notas ou num caderno, ou tenho as notas no computador e não vou levar para todo lado. Portanto, não vou poder fazer este projeto também em todo sítio. Mas o canelado deu, não é? E além disso, depois em Portugal, comecei a trabalhar no meu casaco chamado Maresia, só a fazer um teste, que é equivalente a uma swatch, em que fiz a parte de trás do casaco, como se fosse para um bebê, e a parte da frente. E portanto, isto vai ser cortado, é sticking, e o final das mangas também. Portanto, este projeto é começado na manga, faço assim, vai sempre à volta, pelos 2 braços, depois chega aqui, fecham-se estes pontos, e é feita à volta pela cintura, depois corta-se na manga, e faz só bainhas, acabamentos, o que lhe quiserem chamar, não sei. Muito fácil, rápido, porque o novelo é um novelo assim mais grossinho. E pronto, já vai correr bem, vamos ver. Queria fazer com tamanhos inclusivos, que é para pessoas que têm um busto muito grande. Mas vamos ver, porque acho que vai ser muito difícil para mim fazer as contas para tanta variedade de tamanhos, especialmente nunca tendo feito uma camisola ou t-shirt ou nada. Quer dizer, até agora o que eu tenho feito tem sido meias. Mas é um casaco larguito, portanto, vamos ver, não é? Não há nada como experimentar. Entretanto, voltei a pegar, ou vou começar a voltar a pegar no meu cobertor, agora que tenho novelos novos para acrescentar um quadradinho. E acho que é isto. Deixa eu ver as minhas notas. Yep, é isto. Pronto. Acabar este style é a minha prioridade agora. Depois fazer aquelas meias e começar aquela camisola barra t-shirt. E depois disso, não sei, vamos ver. Vamos ver quanto tempo é que as coisas demoram, porque eu quero começar todos os projetos. Ainda ontem tive uma ideia nova para uma camisola para, pronto, criar, mas o problema é que não tenho tempo suficiente. Fazer tricô não é tão rápido quanto isso. Portanto, não sei. Vamos ver. E pronto, é isto. Fui ao festival Knitting with Friends no Porto. Gostei imenso. Foi muito giro ver as pessoas que estão no YouTube, que eu vejo ou veem-me a mim e pronto, escrevemos comentários uns às outras. Mas foi bom conhecer as pessoas, não é? Em pessoa. Gostei muito da loja da retrosaria. Lindíssima. Gostei de tantos novelos, mas pronto, não pode trazer tudo comigo, não é? E depois também fui à loja no Porto, a Ovelha Negra. Também gostei muito. Tenho uns novelos que eu não comprei, mas quero experimentar um dia, que são os da Olive. Mas pude comprar outros que gostei e que se calhar faço uma camisola com eles. Vamos ver. Desculpa. Pronto, depois quero fazer vídeos assim mais frequentemente. Idealmente não preciso ir a mais aulas, vamos esperar e descobrir. Não sei. Vamos ver. Gostava de fazer mais vídeos, mas vamos ver. Porque também não posso estar a editar e a trabalhar no meu style, não posso estar a filmar e a trabalhar no meu style. Se calhar no futuro. E, entretanto, tenho que pôr a casa em ordem. Está tudo encaixotado ainda. Mas pronto, foi bom falar com todas vós. Todos vós. Vou dizer todas porque presumo que a maioria sejam mulheres. E pronto, vemos para a próxima vez. Se tudo correr bem em agosto. Mas não quero fazer promessas porque ainda agora me mudei e há muita coisa para fazer. Incluindo trabalhar no quintal. Pronto, então vá, beijinhos, portem-se bem, tricotem muito e pronto, não sei. Tenham um bom verão. Comam muitas sardinhas por mim. Beijinhos!